Hi, so in this video we will have a detailed look as to how the form for the CUET 2023 exam for UG courses is to be filled. How do we go about it? And keep in mind, it's a pretty lengthy form with a lot of detailing. So one of the key points to note when you start off is keep enough time with you when you start working on this. Keep your documents handy, keep your photograph and signature handy because you will need all of this while filling the form. Fine. So how do we go about it? The first thing to note is this website here, cuet.summit.ac.in. When you come to this home page, you see these two tabs here, sign in and register. Obviously, when you are starting off, the first step that you would need to do is to register. If you register once and then want to edit it later or want to fill up some parts of it later, you can sign in. So let's say we click on register. So this screen that you now see in front of you, the first and most important tip is that you should download this information bulletin. What happens when I click on this? You end up getting this info bulletin which is also given on the home page. This has every detail that you will require to tackle the CUET test in terms of eligibility, list of universities, list of subjects, the mode of exam, everything that you could think of. Of course, because it is a pretty long document, 81 pages here, we will not go in great detail with respect to what it is all about. However, some of the key things that you need to keep in mind here when you are going through this document would be the structure of the paper. Here the fee structure, which we've anyways covered in earlier videos when we've seen the overview of CUET. So the timelines, the fee structure, the mode of the test and the overall subject structure and how and in which order you should select the subjects. So once you've gone through all of this, and you will require a lot of time to do this, but let's say once you've gone through this, you can go on to now start your registration process. Let's say you scroll down the page, read all these instructions. A few very important instructions here relate to your photograph, signature and certificates. Which certificates am I talking about? This is in case you are a category student, that is an SC, ST, OBC student, or you are a person with baseline disabilities. You need to see the guidelines again from that bulletin that has been shared with you. Okay, so what are the key requirements of the scanned photograph? It should be either in color or black and white with 80% of the face, including the ears, visible against a white background, which means it could be a standard passport size photograph but with a white background. Essentially, the person at the center should be able to identify that this is indeed you. So no selfies, no funky photographs anywhere. It is a somber event. You need to have your photograph taken accordingly. Then a signature, try and make it as legible or as visible as possible, because you will again need to sign during the exam on the attendance sheet. So there, if it doesn't match or the invigilator is not sure, then you might just face a few inconveniences. So it's better that your digital signature or your signature that you scan is as legible as possible. The format, JPG, JPEG, the file size also mentioned here. So adhere to all these guidelines. Now, in case you have photographs or signatures with you, but they are not of this file size, then I would recommend that you first get that in place before you start filling the form. Don't work on resizing all these documents when you are actually filling the form. It just adds to your stress. Okay. Now, so once you've read this, what next? Fee payment. Again, when you see these fees, depending on what category you belong to, general, SC, ST, OBC, etc., and how many subjects you will be attempting, you will need to work on the, you will need to have a certain fee that you pay. So if it is 6 subjects and you are a general category student, it will be 1500 rupees and so on. Again, if you are going to pay through your parents' debit or credit card or net banking, need to have those details or that person with you while filling up this form. Okay, now let's move to the actual registration process here. Let's say you try and click on proceed. Observe what happens. You get this error here where you need to certify that you have downloaded the information bulletin and understood all the instructions. Whether you have read it or not, you will have to certify this, or you will have to confirm this. So please ensure that you actually have downloaded it and actually have read it. Okay, so now let's start the actual process. Let's say I click here, it changes back to green, so it now enables me to register, and we say click here to proceed. So the first part of the overall process is registration. It is almost like saying you're creating your account. So how do we do that? First and important thing, candidate's name as per class 10 or equivalent certificate. So here please do not put names based on your whims and fancies. If your school name says Ramesh Suresh Kumar, it has to be entered as Ramesh Suresh Kumar here. It cannot be Ramesh K, Ramesh Kumar, R Kumar, nothing of that sort. If you are not sure, you can go to this instruction tab and read exactly what they specify. The candidate's name must exactly be the same as registered in the class 10 exam. So let's say I enter my name here. Same logic also goes for the father's name and your mother's name. So you enter these details. Now what about guardian's name? In a lot of cases, you may not need that. In very rare cases, in case you do not have father's name or mother's name to be filled up, you can fill up guardian's name. But I would say in 99% of the cases, it will not be required. Okay, observe one interesting thing. As soon as each field is filled correctly, the box turns to green with a tick mark. So that is an indicator that you've not missed out anything. So I would suggest do not hurry. Take your time, ensure that you fill the right details. Okay, what next? Candidate's date of birth. So fill in your details perfectly here. Gender, pretty obvious, male, female, third gender, whatever. Nationality would be Indian, overseas citizen of India, which is called an OCI. So if you fill that, you will need to show the OCI card, or a foreign national. You're an American, Australian, etc. So most people here will fill up Indian. Identity type. Now in this case, you need to fill up your ID proof. When we say identity type, what is the ID card that you are going to show here? Could be your PAN card, Aadhaar, passport. Keep in mind two conditions. You should be able to carry the original document with you when you go for the exam. So all those notarized copies and Xeroxes, etc. don't work. So do you have the original copy? Yes. Is it valid? You cannot be carrying an invalid or expired passport to the exam. So ensure these two things, then select the documents. So let's say I select PAN card. Obviously, once I select that, it will ask me to enter the details, which I have done here. And this part is now complete. I move to the second stage, which is all about the present address. Okay. So here you will see there are two parts to it, the present address as well as the permanent address, with a checkbox that click if same as permanent address. So first fill up your present address. Here your sub-locality and locality are optional. Again, what is optional, what is mandatory is given in the information bulletin. There is an entire list of fields that are mandatory and optional. So you should make it a point to keep that handy with you when you are filling this up. So let's say I fill up the details here. which would be my present as well as permanent address. Again, here one of the key points that I would mention is that if you are filling in your address, match it with any address proof document that you have. Let's say the electricity bill or the Aadhaar card. Just makes your life easier. Once you select the country here, which in most cases should be India. Just a second. Okay, the first option itself is India, so it doesn't go in alphabetical order. Maharashtra. Now, once I select Maharashtra, the districts that are mapped to it, only they will be shown. So, you don't really need to worry too much about finding your district all through the map. Your PIN code, again, this is something you are expected to know. Your email address. Now, if obviously most of you would have an email address by now, so please use something that you use very regularly. In case you don't, you can give your parents' email ID, but it has to be something that you can access at the drop of a hat. So please keep this point in mind and accordingly put in your email ID. So this is the email ID, you will need to confirm it. And you will need to enter a mobile number. Once again, this has to be something that is active, handy and constantly in use. So could be yours, could be your parents, but it has to be readily available if you want to see all the updates. Done. Now let's say my permanent address is the same as the present address. Click on that. Okay, so it shows me all the details once again. In fact, this is a good way of also checking if I've uploaded all my details perfectly. So I check this, okay, premises, sub-locality, okay, all of this is fine. Now I need to create a password. This is important because you need to understand what are the key details that have been given here. So the password must be of 8 to 13 characters. One special, one upper, one lowercase and one numeric value. Use a password that you will remember well. It need not be something as simple as your birth date. It need not be something as complex as 𝐂𝐔𝐄𝐓, nothing of that sort. You should be able to remember it. So let's say you create that password. There's a security question, again something that you will remember. So for example, if you say what is the name of your first school and I say it is St. Joseph's, then there could be confusion. Is it St. Joseph? What did I fill last time? Was it St. Joseph's High School? What was it St. Joseph? What was it St. Joseph's with an apostrophe? So be very, very sure what you are going to fill. So let's say I fill up St. Joseph. And now there is a security pin or a CAPTCHA that I see here. So I enter that and submit. Now observe this. Once I have submitted it, I observe or I get a review page, and I would call it a very important page. A lot of students tend to ignore this page. Why? Because they think, okay, I filled up everything is bang on, but there might be small errors. What if I had misspelled my name as G-A or G-O instead of G-A? I obviously need to get that changed. So check every detail, your name, parents' name, date of birth, all of this. Take your time. The form is not going to time out. So it's not that at the end of 10 minutes you're going to lose all your time. No. Take your time, read it, check it absolutely thoroughly. Once you've done all of that, now there is this last part here where they ask you whether you have verified each detail. What does this mean? It says, kindly verify all the particulars listed below carefully and ensure that you have filled correct information. So as soon as you tick on my name, correct, it means that now you are confirming to the NTA authorities or to CUET Summer that okay, I have entered the correct name. After that, if you go and say, sir, my spelling of my name is wrong, this needed to be changed, that needed to be changed, you are unlikely to be entertained. So you will need to check, keep checking and keep verifying all these details. So once you verify, all of these turn to green. Then you have to again give a declaration that I have read everything, I have entered correct data. And once you do that, now you submit the form. Once you submit it, you will get an OTP on the mobile number that you have handed over. So let's say you are, one very small tip. Let's say you are putting in your father's number. Your father is in office, you're at home. Then you'll suddenly start panicking. You'll call him, give me the OTP, etc. Don't do all of that. So undertake this process only once you have the particular, the phone, the email ID, all handy with you. So once we do this, once we say submit, we have verified all our details. We would have received an OTP. Now we will need to enter this OTP on this page. So here there is a time limit, and that is why I said it is important that we have the phone, the email ID ready with us, because we are going to need the OTP with us. So let's do that. So once we fill this OTP here and we fill the security pin which has been given here, we again click on submit. At this stage, you observe that your registration is done. So you see that with this tick mark, apply for online registration done. Welcome applicant, you can track your application here. Very, very important, you get your application number. Whatever is this number. So this is the number by which you will always be referred to in your admit card, when you go and find your seat in the exam center, everywhere. So keep this number very handy with you. Okay. Once you have this, so we go on to the application form, and that is why it says your application status is not submitted. Let's go on to the application form. This is part 2, far longer, far more detail oriented. Okay. So see, here some of the things will come in pre-filled. Why? Because you filled them during the registration stage. Your name, your date of birth, gender, nationality, so far. Now, category, let's say general. Are you a person with baseline disability? No. Suppose you are, okay, then you will have to select yes. But how do you identify whether you are a person with disability? There is an entire list of disabilities, the eligibility criteria, the conditions, all given in the in the notification, in that information bulletin. So that is where reading it is very important. Let's say you say yes, then it opens up a lot of other fields. So suppose you say yes, I am a person with disability, it will ask you which disability. Is it visual impairment, hearing impairment, and so on. But in case I say no, then this field not required. Father's name already filled. Father's qualification, let's say I select graduate. Occupation could be anything. Let's say I select whatever, business. Mother's name already filled in. Qualification graduate. This could be others, including housewife. So you may have a question, okay, my mother is at home. She's a homemaker. What do I do? Others. Guardian's name not applicable. Family income. Let's assume 6 lakh to 7 lakh. Are you twin? Here again interesting. If you say yes, you will need to give the details of your twin. But that will be a very rare case. So say no. Domicile. Where are you domiciled? Generally, when you are domiciled in a certain state, there is a domicile certificate that you have. So please ensure, you may need to ask your parents, you may need to check with them what is our domicile. Let's assume Maharashtra here. Are you diabetic? No. Place of residence? urban, rural, you'll have to take a call based on your residence here. Mode of preparation could be anything, online coaching, tutorial. Here, this is not very important, but it needs to be filled. So let's say online coaching, medium of study in the qualifying exam. Your qualifying exam is your class 10 exam, which is the board exam that you took. So there, most cases could be English, but it also could be the other Indian languages. So fill up the language in which your school administered your class 10 examination, which was English, Hindi, Gujarati, whatever it was. Address, check it once again. Permanent address, click if same as present, yes. So this is more or less, data that you've already seen. Now, other information. Do you belong to the below poverty line category? No. In some cases, if it is yes, then there are certain documents to be shown. So do not fill these fields just randomly, because if you say yes anywhere, you will have to prove it. Are you a Kashmiri migrant? No. Are you a ward, that is a child of a defense personnel or an ex-service person? No. Claim for NCC quota. If you have been a part of the National Cadet Corps, NCC, then you can claim a quota, because a lot of colleges do have a quota for NCC. If yes, you will need your certificate. Similarly, for the sports quota, if yes, you will need a certificate. In my case, no. So obviously, I will just keep saying no here. Are you a ward of a university employee? Which means that if any of your parents, okay, could be both, but could be even one of them, works in a central university or a state university, then you should be saying yes here. Suppose you say yes, so it will ask you, is your father the employee or the mother? Let's assume your father is not an employee there, but your mother is a teacher there, for example. Then you will have to give all the details. The name of the university, her employee ID, and the ones in grey are not mandatory. But the name of the university, if you see in black here, the mother's employment status, that is working, retired, deceased, all of these need to be filled up. If, like my case, you are not a ward of a university employee, this page of the form ends here. So what have we filled up here? We filled up our personal details, parent details, address, and other government requirements, because all of these have certain quotas. Save this. Now you observe this has been saved. This is personal details 1. You notice there are 7 parts to this form, which is why I said it's a time consuming form. You need to be very meticulous here. Once again, like we did during the registration, review all the details as filled up by you. Name, parent's name, birth date, everything. Go through all of this in great detail if possible. And this is something I tell a lot of students, get this checked by somebody else. Because if we have filled it, we are very likely to say, okay, this is all fine. Get somebody else to vet it. Once they've done it, let's say you want to change something, you can click on update the personal form. You want to go back to the main dashboard, this is what happens. Okay, so I went to the main dashboard here, but I want to continue. So I clicked on continue, came back here. Let's say I wanted to update a detail. Then all the fields became open once again. Why is this required? Let's say I felt that, hey, maybe my mother's name is incorrect. I need to rectify it. So you can do it at this stage itself. You save it. You again come back to the review form. Once you verified everything is fine, proceed to the next section. Now, what is the next section? This is a very important section. These are your exam or your class 10 and 12 details. So first, class 10 or equivalent education. Result status, obviously this needs to be passed. You see there is no other option here, right? What is the year in which you passed? Let's say you fill up 2021. What was the qualifying exam? One option only, 10th or equivalent. Place of schooling, urban, rural. Pretty obvious. Type of school. Could have been whatever, let's say I say government school. qualifying exam country India, state Maharashtra. So these will all be details that are personal to you, and like the rest of the form, you see you keep getting that green tick mark wherever your details have been correctly entered. Now school address. So let's say I say St. Joseph High School, Juhu, Mumbai, whatever is my address. The pin code, the correct pin code of the school, my roll number, and the result. Now this is important. Your result could either be expressed as a percentage or as the CGPA, the grade. Suppose it is percentage here, then you will need to enter your maximum marks and the marks that you obtained. It automatically converts that to a percentage. Suppose it was a CGPA, a grade, then it will ask for the maximum grade point, because different universities have different grading systems. Some have 10, 9, 8, 7, whatever. So let's say it was 10, you got 7.7. Then you enter 7.7 here. That's it. So as we said, because ours is percentage, so we enter the maximum marks, the correct marks, we end up getting our percentage. Okay. What about class 12? Next level. So suppose you have just passed. Fill up passed, passing year 2023, qualifying exam 12th or equivalent. It's very similar to class 10. Just your details of the name of the school, college will keep changing. Same type of details. Urban, type of school could be whatever, government, qualifying exam, qualifying country India. The state here would be, Maharashtra. Just a sec. See, here you need to be careful. This is something I am facing, where if my mouse is still on that particular field and I start using the keyboard, it changes the data. So you might wonder, hey, how did my data change later? It's a very silly mistake, but it does happen to a lot of students. Okay, board name. Here the name of the board will have to be entered. I would recommend that you fill the name of your school or the college as it exactly appears on their letterhead. So suppose my college is, say it's called Rajhans. So I would not write only Rajhans. You have to go for the exact college name as it appears. It might just end up causing problems for you later. Pin code could be whatever, roll number, whatever. Result again, either the percentage or the CGPA. Enter these details, you'll end up with your percentage, save it. So there seems to be something that I have missed, because it is not letting me proceed further. So what is it? Look here, in the school I have not put the board name. This is how you will realize you have missed out on a field. Here I knew it. I kept going down deliberately. Why? Because I wanted to show you, but while filling it up, you might end up facing this problem. So be careful that you filled up each and every field. Save. Now it takes you to the next page. Review all your details here, finish it up. As we saw, previous section, updation, all the options remain constant. Next section. Now the sections become pretty short. Now, unlike last year, this year you have only 2 center choices. Suppose I filled up my address as Mumbai. So that is why it gives me 4 choices here. Neighboring states, Goa, Gujarat, Maharashtra, Dadra Nagar Haveli. Suppose you fill up Delhi, then you might get Delhi, UP, Haryana, and so on. So let's say I pick up Maharashtra, I pick up Mumbai. Similarly, I pick up Maharashtra and I pick up Pune, the 2 nearest cities for me, and save. Again, it will ask me to review this. Review it. This is a pretty easy section to finish off. Now, this is by far the heart of your form. So while doing this, you need to be very, very, very sure that you've got all your details right. Look, Here you can apply to one or more universities, participating institutions or organizations. So that is where you should visit the website of these universities, figure out which courses they offer, what are the requirements for that course, and then select the courses here. So let's select the university here. Let's say we want to go for DU, Delhi University. Or let's say I select TIS, a very prominent university. So what are the courses that we are looking at? Suppose it could be Bachelor of Social Work, Mumbai campus 1. Now, if I want to add another course, because it's pretty likely that people don't want to apply only to one university. So you go to add. Now observe how the form behaves. Your original data is already selected here. Tata Institute of Social Sciences, Bachelor of Social Work. Now please remember and observe this interesting thing. The 2 subjects that are compulsory are already mentioned here, which means if you do want to apply to this organization or to this institute, you need to take these tests. Okay, let's say, okay, so here if I want to add, I clicked on add here. So it gave me an error. You already selected this. Let's say I want to go to some other university here. University of Delhi. And I select BSc Honors in, say, whatever, chemistry. Okay. If I add this, once again, it gives me all the details. University of Delhi, BSc Honors Chemistry. And here you see all these subjects that I will need to take. Physics, chemistry, either maths or applied maths, and one language. Here you interestingly see there is no general test. That does not mean that you cannot take general test. But let's say you are applying for these 2 courses. Then between that you realize you will need to take English and general test for TIS. You will need to take physics, chemistry, maths for DU. Which means these are the 5 subjects that you will need to appear for. So when you are selecting multiple universities with multiple courses, your entire bouquet of subjects will have to cover all the courses that you are applying to. It cannot be that you select only PCM, then TIS is out of the question. You select only English and general test, DU, BSc Honors in chemistry is out of the question. So that is something you need to be very careful about. Now, okay, let's say we've selected these 2. You feel I want to remove them. The button is right here. We removed it. No, I want to add it again. That's also fine. Done. Preview this. You will get all your details once again. These 2 universities, these are the names of the programs, the subjects that you need to appear for, the eligibility. Of course, before you fill the form, before you select these courses here, you need to ensure that you have checked the eligibility. There is no point selecting a program here and later finding out that you are not eligible for it. So do all of this, move on to your next section. Here, obviously, this is a continuation of the previous section because once you selected your university and the program, that is where you decide these are the subjects I appear for. Now look at the combination we chose. We had TIS where we needed English and the general test, that is section 1A, section 3. And we had DU, BSc Honors Chemistry, where we needed physics, chemistry, maths. So minimum these 5 subjects. So I will accordingly need to select the subjects. And the good thing for you is that we don't need to remember them. The form mentions them here itself. List of subjects required to appear in CUET. So you know these. Start selecting English. So see, the first 13 languages, which was section 1A, ends at 113 code. Then you have 201 to 220, which would be the other 20 languages. Then 301 onwards are your domain subjects. So what did we require? We required chemistry. Then we require physics and maths. So mathematics. Now here there is an interesting thing. The medium of the test paper is also mentioned. It's not mentioned against English, but obvious, because English is a language, which means it will be tested only in English. Whereas in chemistry or in mathematics, you can decide in which language you want to get tested. So you want your chemistry paper in Hindi, you can select Hindi there. Now you require physics as well as your 5th subject. So you have physics here, and again you will need to select the language, that is the medium of the test paper, and the last will be the general test. So scroll down right to the end where you will have the code for general test, which is this. The general test by default will be in English. Done. Save this. It will not allow you to save till you click on this declaration. What does it say? I hereby declare that I have selected the above subjects and understand that the subject is not liable to change. So even when you get that correction window, after all the registrations are done, you cannot change your subjects. Please keep that point in mind before you fill this form. So click this and save. Okay, it's not allowing me to save, which means there is something I have missed out. Yes, so here now they have forced you to click not applicable if you do not want to go beyond 5 subjects. So this is something new this year. You will have to go to each subject and click on not applicable. Till then, it will not allow you to proceed beyond this point. Now this is slightly cumbersome, but again, just ensure that you get these fine details right. Yep, done. I think now it should be fine. My declaration is also clicked. Done. So I'm done with 5 details here. Now what do we have? The review of these details. Check your subject names and codes very well. English, chemistry, maths, physics, general test, perfect. Medium of test paper, English, absolutely perfect. Done. What do we do now? My declaration is also in place. Proceed to the next section. Okay, this is where a lot of students get stuck. This is your section for upload of the documents. So what do we do here? The limits or the data is again given here, that the file size must be so and so, the format is JPEG or JPEG, etc. Simply here you need to select the particular folder. Go to the relevant file, upload. So see, this is where I have uploaded both my pic and my sign. You can delete it and upload it later again. If this is done, go to the preview section. Now look, this is the first time your application number has also been mentioned, because everything is done now. Your online application form is ready. You have your application number, your photo. You can check all your details here. Every single detail that you have filled up will be out here. Okay, you can even view your photo and signature once again. You can also see the amount that you need to pay. Now remember, we have selected 5 subjects, which is why we pay 1500. Had I selected only 3, it would be 750. The last part important, every particular detail that you have filled will need to be verified. So the name or the important detail is underlined here. My name so and so. Start ticking all these details. Of course, without confirming whether they are right or wrong, you should not. But once you've confirmed that, then you should verify all these details here. And that is where your form finally proceeds to payment. So here you again get your email ID. You have your email ID to be entered once again. You have a code which is to be entered once again, and you verify that. So there is a verification code which will appear on your email. You need to fill that, And once you fill that, you enter this security pin and you go on to the payment. So this verification, remember you got one OTP on your phone earlier, you will get one verification on your email right now. Once this is done, you will be able to go to the payment page. You will be able to pay through UPI, debit credit cards, net banking, whatever you have. And that is where your process will get over. Yeah. So let's fill the verification code. Now let's say this is the verification code here, the security pin, and we verify. So finally we come to the fee payment page. Here once again check your application ID. It's not submitted. You continue the application form, review all your personal details once again, and finally proceed to the last section, which is review educational details. In fact, you can review all your details here, page by page at a time. And finally, when you come to the payment page, that is where you will be able to make the final payment. So all of this is done. This is your final page here. Correct? This is what we checked earlier. And this everything is what you will also need to check. Now, these checklist details have all been erased. So I will need to fill it up all again. Done. And I go to proceed to payment. So here I have all these details again. You select any of these cards, you select any of these details, and from now on it is absolutely your payment mode which will end up helping you make the payment. So this is where the whole process ends. Once you finish this off, you will get an application confirmation. Once you get that confirmation, download it, print it and keep, and that is where the entire registration application process will end. So it is time consuming, it is tedious, but not complicated at all. Just ensure you have the right documents in place and go step by step. There should be no worry at all. Thank you and all the very best for CUET 23.